here about 30, it's just not friends. I come up by 35. Hey there, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, your angle. I don't think there's anything weird. No, we just don't need to do anything with that. And start right now. And I got a guy here. He wants to start right at 10:30. He's got meditation. Hey, Joe. For students too, kids and kids, or just staff? Boy, for the vaccine, you got staff. All our staff have been $200 a month. The term life insurance is the end of the world. What's the place that passed around by? Well, I know, that's why I was kind of supported. You have a dog, Lee? You have animals? No, no. Sean's scared of him. If he feels your fear, then he might. No, he won't fight you. He's a good dog. He's just a puppy. He's stupid. He's kind of stupid. But he tore off the side of my house and I had it fixed. He did. Saw it yesterday. $400. I did. He's a good boy. He's just a puppy. Hopefully he'll. Lots of energy. I've got him toys and he likes them. No, he does. He goes crazy. And then he still goes by the side of the house, or I've got a screened-in porch that he tore the screens off. That's the thing. I mean, dogs, you're going to have property damage. Most dogs. Yeah, I bet they do property damage.
Good morning, Southwood. What a wonderful morning to be together. Let us rise in our first hymn, Gathered Here. Gathered here in the mystery of this hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of this hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of this hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. I say it again, good morning, Southwood. You may have a seat.
Good morning, Sean, and musicians, and everyone that's out there, and everybody else in TV land. We are glad that you are here with us this morning on this special day. I invite Marlene to come forward for our virtual hug, reminding you that our CCS Worship Cast license is number 11379. Also, I have noticed that October 31st, Halloween, falls on Sunday. So we would like to invite you, if you so choose, to wear costumes to worship on that day. All right, I won't be handing out candy, but you can still wear costumes on the 31st.
Good morning, Southwood and friends. Here's your virtual hug.
All right, it's hard to believe it's already time for Advent coming up at the end of November. It's not here yet, but we have sign-ups for Advent books. We have devotional books for every day during Advent, and you can order those. We'll place the order for you, but there's a sign-up sheet out there. You can get a paper copy or a digital copy. We also have sign-ups that are out on the Express that you can do digitally if you want to sign up to receive one of the devotional books for Advent this year. The congregational meeting, the annual meeting, will be Sunday, November 14th, right after worship, and it will be available both in person or via Zoom. So we'll be doing it both ways this year. Just be sure you've got that on your radar. This morning, for this special day, we are welcoming Restart here into the building. Stephanie Boyer, the CEO, is here, is going to be sharing with us. But we also have people who, through Southwood's history, have been involved with Restart, and they're going to be sharing as well. If you don't know anything about Restart, we have just this little intro video to tell you a little bit about it.
Our addictions kind of took us to different places. We lived in the park for 6 months straight.
Living in abandoned houses, trying to survive, basically.
It was a really run-down feeling.
I lost my dad at the age of 15, and I lost him. Everything just broke down on me.
A couple of times I contemplated suicide. It's been tough.
You know, our population, when they come to us, they have nothing. So the donations play a big part in helping people to restart their lives.
I've been there for 8 years now, and it's the original place that Restart put me in.
It's actually given us somewhere we call home now.
That little springboard to progress as a human being.
They motivate me, and they're always by my side.
They just treat us like we were one of their own family.
Good morning. Reverend Dr. Stuart Whitney was a powerful advocate for urban core and the homeless. Restart began in the congregation of the Grand Avenue Temple United Methodist Church and their minister, Stuart Whitney. They found folks sleeping in the doorways of their church and thought, we need to provide some hospitality. And they dedicated their mission to that. Come in for a meal, spend the night during the winter. They turned the basement of their church into a shelter in 1981, and Restart was born. When there were too many for their small space in their church, they obtained a warehouse a few blocks away, which became a winter shelter. And we remember that as a large, kind of dark space with a lot of bunk beds and some tables at one end that served 100 men each night of the winter and into the spring. In 1985, we established a mission committee here at Southwood. And they visited a few places around Kansas City, and it was at the suggestion of Mark Hoffman, the youth representative, the son of Milton Jane, that the Restart Homeless Shelter was chosen as a mission focus. So the very first Friday night of 1986, we made, in January of 86, we made our way to the shelter to serve coffee and to talk with folks that most of us were very unfamiliar with, homeless persons. We continued going every other Friday. I should have taken this off. I bet you can hear me better now. I'm sorry. I really meant to do that. Okay. We went every other Friday night for the next 5 years through the winter months and into the spring. And then for another 4 years, every other Friday night when the shelter opened for year-round. And during all this time, Restart was adding programs. They added transitional living. They began serving women and children. They housed families. And they eventually moved into their current location at 9th and Harrison and added a youth program. And for the next 11 years, we went to the emergency shelter once a month. Through these 20 years and since, Restart has had a special place in our heart. We were honored to receive the Helen Gordon Volunteer Service Award in 1989 and the Roy Pell Faithfulness Award in the year 2000. Throughout the first 20 years, the director, Stuart Whitney, was insistent that the dignity and worth of all persons be respected. People that came to Restart were called guests, and they were to be treated as one would treat a guest. Restart is there to help folks have time, space, and resources to restart their lives, and Restart's still doing that work today. We are so glad to be a part of Restart's ministry. We congratulate you on your 40 years of service to persons experiencing homelessness. We're delighted to have Stephanie, their CEO at the present time, with us today, and to share this important ministry with each of you. Thank you.
Let justice flow like streams of sparkling water pure, enabling growth, refreshing life, abundant cleansing sure. Let righteousness roll on as others' cares we heed, an ever-flowing stream of faith translated into deed. So may God's plumb line traits define our measure true, and justice, right, and peace pervade this world our whole life through.
Well, when we first started going down to Restart to be with, we were to go down and visit with the guests down there, and they told us that there would be some coffee and some donuts in that we could that was available to serve them. And there was coffee, and there were these donuts in these large trash bags. And they just had been dumped in there, and sometimes there were cockroaches along with them. So, and at times, and then we discovered that they were asking for is there cream and sugar, and there was not. So we started taking sugar along, and we started taking creamer down. And at times we would bring juice and coffee and to go along with that. And sometimes, and then as time went on, we would take fruit along and other little snacks for them to have. Well, one evening, one gentleman made a comment to Jill, and he said, I bet when you're done here, you're going to go home and eat. So that started our little thinking wheels going, and we decided we would take sandwiches down because a lot of them hadn't really had anything substantial to eat during the day. So we took sandwiches down, and then since it's cold, it occurred to us as we were doing that, we will take kettles of hot food down. Anna Jean and I both had a kettle this size that we would fix with ham and beans or whatever soup stuff we could put in there. And but then the first few times we didn't take the sandwiches, and they were missing the sandwiches, so we took sandwiches and hot stuff along with juice and milk. And it was really interesting working with visiting, we would make the sandwiches while we were there, and we eventually had made tablecloth things to give them a homey kind of atmosphere feeling with that. And eventually, as Restart grew and their kitchen became bigger, and they were able to, then we discovered they were starting to provide, a lot of times we'd take stuff down, they already had stuff provided there for them for the kitchen, so we were doubling up. So that's how we come to kind of gradually, we kind of started working back out of doing that and doing other things because they were able to provide more for them at this point.
Thanks, Connie. Like for my younger friends to gather around. I see some of you that are out there, and I know some of you are out there watching on your television, but all of the service today is for you. The stories that are being shared, the videos that are there, it really should touch all of our hearts, no matter what our age. But for a moment, I just wanted to tell you about a boy named James. It's funny, I can remember James' name, I can picture his face, but it was all the way back in first grade, and I haven't known him since. We were in first grade together, and that was 45 years ago, or a little bit more. So the fact that I can remember his name and I can picture him, James was different than the other kids in the class. In some ways, he was the class bully, if you've ever known kids that are like that. But also the clothes that he came with were kind of tattered, usually torn in one way or another. In fact, the jeans that he wore had so many holes in them that they would be really hip these days. And the way his hair laid and the way that he carried himself and the way that he presented himself, I wondered how often he ever had a shower or a bath. And I don't have anything else more to tell you about James because I don't know. But the fact that his name hung with me and that I can picture his face means that there was probably something nagging at my heart then that continues to nag now because I don't know his story. I don't know where he lived. I don't know that he lived with his parents. Maybe he lived with his grandparents for a period of time. I was in the same school for first grade and second grade, and I don't remember James in second grade. So I don't know. Their house may have burnt down. I don't know what his story was. But I have learned over the course of time that every child is a child of God. And we talked about a lot of that last week. But just James being there brings me back to the scriptures that continually call us to be there for people. Deuteronomy 15. If there are some poor persons among you, don't be hard-hearted or tight-fisted toward them. Or Isaiah 58, God desires that we share our bread with the hungry and bring the homeless into our house. Or Proverbs 14, those who oppress the powerless insult our Creator, but those who are generous to the needy honor God. So I just want us to think about everyone that we see at school or on the playground or out in the neighborhood and imagine them being who they truly are as a child of God and that God has visions and hopes for them. And I wonder now as we move toward our time of prayer this morning, what visions is God putting upon your heart and mind? Be now my vision, O God of my heart. Nothing surpasses the love you impart. You my best thought by day or by night. Waking or sleeping, your presence my light. Be now my wisdom and be my true word. Ever within me my soul is assured. Mother and Father, you
empty graves. You, my inheritance, now and always. Someone you only are first in my heart. Great God, my treasure, may we never part. Sovereign of heaven, my victory won. May I reach heaven, your bright heaven, Son. Heart of my own heart, whatever befall, still be my vision, O ruler of all.
Southwood's history of giving and offering support to Restart came in many forms, including fundraisers, holiday gifts, school uniforms, school supplies, and volunteering at the overnight shelter. Our first really big fundraiser took place right here. It was the production of Godspell in February of 1986. If you participated in this fantastic musical, please raise your hand. I know there's some of you out there. Yes. Our first gift to Restart was the profits of the Godspell production, $1,163.80. In March 1987, Southwood's talented members performed Alice in Blunderland as a fun fundraiser for Restart. Our gift to Restart from that play was $672. In February 1988, our talented performers once again presented Godspell by popular demand. This gift for Restart was approximately $1,100. Throughout the years during the Christmas holidays, we had collected various clothing items for the guests in the Restart shelter. A couple years, we collected men's underwear. One memorable night, very memorable, when we distributed the underwear at the shelter, guys started tossing the underwear back and forth and shouting, "I got a size 44, I need a 36. I have a 43, but I need a 24. And we just all smiled. For several years, we also collected much-needed coats, caps, gloves, socks, and blankets during the winter months for the guests in the shelter. Several groups of church members ushered at Midland Theater and Starlight Theater for about 5 years to raise money for Restart. A couple years, we sent a portion of our rummage sale proceeds to Restart. In 2019, our youth spent one day during their KC mission trip working at Restart, and they really enjoyed visiting with the guests. This same year, our church also collected gifts for Restart for Christmas. Southwood's ministry through fundraisers and gifts to Restart has made a positive impact not only on the lives of their guests, but on our lives as we have reached out to meet their needs.
Please join with me in prayer. Oh God, how often we are amazed that your vision begins to unfold through the simplest of things. A church that listens to the voice of a teenager and begins to interact with the homeless shelter. A bag of donuts and plain coffee that spirals into sandwiches and soup for years and years. The gifts of those who put on a musical and then raise thousands of dollars to go into that ministry. We ask, oh God, in these days that your Spirit might continue to work among us, that we might take on the simple things that might lead to much larger things in the unfolding of your dream. As we celebrate our history today, we also recognize that even in our church and definitely throughout our society, there are so many ways in which we are not responding to your call. And so we come before you with pleas for forgiveness and the opening of our eyes to the possibilities that really are before us. And once again, may we feel the waves of grace upon grace that meet us where we are and encourage us to go back out into the world once again to live your unfolding dream. As you bring us here this morning, we bring together our joys and concerns that are near and far. We lift up the entire Sheets family, Kevin and Terry, Eileen, Earl, and Linda at the celebration of Jessica's wedding last night to Tom Cook. Surround them with rest, but also with love for the journey that still lies ahead. We pray for Sean and Stephanie and Lucy as they anticipate the birth of Jack, who will need heart surgery right at birth. For Josh and Beth Morris' 19-year-old nephew, Mateo, who was in a head-on collision and is in ICU in Omaha. For Dale Parsons' brother Terry, who is declining with cancer. And for Donna Duffy's family as they prepare for her sister's virtual funeral tomorrow. Kristen?
This morning we pray with Michelle Tippy for her coworker Mary Beth and for Mary Beth's whole family after her daughter's heart and lung transplant. We're holding her daughter in your light, oh God, as she's experiencing some post-surgery difficulties. And I pray with you this morning for the man I met sleeping outside the grocery store today. I pray for his health and safety and for the health and safety of all the unhoused in our community.
Oh God, we know that we could, well, just sit and pray the news as it comes across the TV or the computer. Today I lift in prayer the people of Haiti in so many different ways, but the reports coming that 17 U.S. missionaries, including children, were kidnapped by gangs. It's unimaginable what happens, and so many others unnamed that have been kidnapped. We pray for that country and for peace and for possibilities. And so, oh God, may we pay attention to the movement of your Spirit that nags at the corners of our mind and at the center of our heart, that we might truly be your disciples, seeking to walk in the ways of Jesus the Christ, in whose name we pray. Amen.
Well, when I heard we were going to go down to serve coffee and donuts to the homeless folks. Didn't quite know what to expect. It seemed like a pretty simple chore, just to hand out donuts and pour a cup of coffee and hand it to them. And so I thought, well, that ought to be a doable task. I said I had no idea what these folks must look like. Didn't know a whole lot about homeless. Grew up in a small town. Didn't see anybody sleeping on the streets, and didn't work anywhere downtown. So when we arrived down there, the lady let us in, and sure enough, there was, like Connie said, a big black bag of donuts and a big pot of coffee. So we started getting ready, and a few cockroaches come out of the donuts, which was a little disconcerting and a little uncomfortable. So the doors opened up, and the guests began to come in, and one of the first ones that came in was a gentleman. I remember, Michael said you remember things from long ago. I don't know his name, but I do know that he came in and he was wearing khakis and kind of a white T-shirt, which was quite soiled, and I believe he had maybe a long sleeve shirt on. But he got a cup of coffee, and he had some sugar there and creamer, and he got the cup of coffee and he put about, I don't know, 2 or 3 tablespoons, looked like a sugar in his coffee, and then poured, what am I doing wrong? Poured in some creamer and took it over to where he was going to sit, and he was shaking so bad that, I don't know, he probably ended up with only half a cup of coffee by the time he got over and sat down. But I'm sure the sugar in the bottom of it was good for him for what he needed at that night. So that was just one of the folks that I run into. I said there were others. One other one I remember was George, and he was dressed fairly nice. It looked like his clothes at least were clean. He always had on a nice looking baseball cap or such. And I found out that that's where he gets his Social Security checks were mailed to Restart there, and he just kind of come in there in an emergency shelter. I suspect it was just to be around folks and to get something to eat. I don't know whether he had eaten during the day or not. He looked, it's all kinds of plights that people go through to they end up in the shelter. One of the other ones I remember was a truck driver. He and his wife were over the road truckers, and through some dispute, his wife got the truck and he was in the homeless shelter. So they didn't have a place. That was their place to live, was in the truck. So he ended up at Restart. Another one I remember was Julie Heidi wouldn't go down with us, and she was set with one of them, and they were speaking French to each other. I found out later I didn't understand what they were saying, but that's another case where I don't know his story of how he got there or anything. Connie mentioned the food. One of the other things I remember down there, this one gentleman there, he liked hot stuff, and we took this Tabasco sauce down there for him, and he would just pile on that Tabasco sauce. And then one night he was sitting there, he says, "Ooh, that's hot. Ooh, that's good. Oh, that's hot. Oh, that's good." He was getting his taste buds enlivened there. I seen as Goal and one other gentleman we say pickle juice for. He loved the pickle juice, so if we use anything that took pickles, we'd save the pickle juice for him and take that down to him. As time went on, I kind of noticed that there were a lot more younger folks coming to the shelter, and that was really kind of sad. Even one couple, it appeared, a young man and woman, and of course they had separate when they got there, and it was kind of a touching story. But it just brings to mind, but for the grace of God, there go I down at the shelter. If I had not been in the situation that I was born into, I probably would have ended up in one of those places. So I thank Restart and other organizations for being there. On the front of the thing it says Restart, another name for hope, I think another something. But that hope appears in a lot of homeless shelters and in the food pantry. Raytown Emergency Assistance Program has the word hope in there. And so I think that's what we can give folks is hope. We're going to sing a song here. It's going to be kind of hard, maybe sing a jubilant song, but it does have words in there, hope and peace. So that's what I'm hoping Restart and all the other places can bring folks, a little hope and some peace.
Our scripture reading today is from Psalm chapter 12. And the words that are here just really resonated with me. I hope that they resonate with you. And I hope by some miracle they might resonate in our nation. Help, O Lord, because the godly are all gone. The faithful have completely disappeared from the human race. Everyone tells lies to everyone else. They talk with slick speech and divided hearts. Let the Lord cut off all slick-talking lips and every tongue that brags and brags, that says, we're unbeatable with our tongues. Who could get the best of us with lips like ours? But the Lord says, because the poor are oppressed, because of the groans of the needy, I am now standing up. I will provide the help that they are grasping for. The Lord's promises are pure, like silver that's been refined in an oven, purified 7 times over. You, O Lord, will keep us, protecting us from this generation forever. Before Stephanie Boyer comes and talks to us for a moment, we thought you might like to take a tour of Restart.
Welcome to Restart. My name is Shamika Hogan. I am the Director of Development here at Restart. Restart is a nonprofit in Kansas City serving all people at risk or experiencing homelessness through prevention, street outreach, emergency shelter, transitional and permanent housing through a holistic approach of case management, therapy, and employment services.
Welcome to the Youth Emergency Shelter. My name is Nikki Williams. At the YES, we serve unaccompanied youth ages 12 to 17. A young person who is experiencing housing instability can stay here for up to 30 days. While here, staff and the youth develop a safe destination plan that can connect them back to family or another support system. We strive to ensure that they stay engaged in daily activities such as educational pursuits while in shelter, and that they feel safe while they're here.
Hello, I'm Omar Reed. I'm the Director of Clinical Services and Adult Shelter here. All the rooms, first and second floor, are set up dorm style, male and female floor. The first floor is for females and the second floor is for males. Each room has 2 people in them, except our larger rooms hold 6 beds in them. We have about 38 people in the shelter between the first and the second floor. The average stay here is about 45 days. The max stay is 90 days. We provide them housing plans, we provide them case management, therapy, and employment. We also have 24 hours, 7 days a week laundry facilities that are free, that is provided for them along with the bathrooms. Most of our things come to us through donations from the community and partners that we have out in the community. And we really value the partners that we have in the community for being here for Restart.
Hi, I'm Steve. I'm the food services manager here at Restart. I'm going to take you a little bit of a tour on our kitchen. We rely a lot on donations from Harvesters, Nourish KC, Jack Stack Barbecue, Hy-Vee restaurants, grocery stores, just about everywhere you can think of, they help out. This is one of our little area where we pan up food and cook food. This is some mushroom sauce. We've got a steamer. Today we're serving some baked salmon that we've gotten from a local connection. Really good deal. We got this is our refrigerator freezer space. It's a fryer and a tilt skillet here, a big giant skillet. I can make 20, 30 gallons of chili if I want at one time. We usually serve anywhere from about 225 people a day, and we do it all right here in this little magical kitchen.
Hello, my name is Julie. Welcome to the Employment Center. In the Employment Center, we do a number of different things, primarily helping our clients look for jobs. We create resumes, we do job applications, and I also connect them with employers throughout Kansas City. One of the things that we've recently started is a program to assist our younger clients to develop work skills, and we're doing that through a dog treat program called Retreats. The clients work with us on a daily basis by making, baking, and marketing the retreats to different vendors throughout the Kansas City area.
Hi, my name is Melody and I'm the Donations Administrator. I'm going to give you a guided tour through the donation room. In here we have hygiene products for adults, children. We also have blankets, sheets, towels, and washcloths. These are high needs because a lot of times clients do not have these items whenever they come in here, so whenever they leave, they take these with them. These items are provided through different organizations, Giving the Basics, Connecting Good. They help us provide all of these items for clients.
Hi, it's Nikki again. Welcome to the Transitional Living and Maternity Group Home programs at Restart. We have 12 units for both programs here in Kansas City, Missouri. and 10 TLP units in Johnson County, Kansas, available for young people ages 16 to 21 years old. While in the program, these young adults engage in case management and have access to a therapist. Staff provide classes that work on developing skills in subjects like budgeting, coping, parenting classes, and effective communication. Participants in this program can stay for up to 18 months. We believe in partnering with young people to realize their own goals and dreams.
Hi, welcome to our family shelter here at Restart. I'm Taryn, I'm one of the case managers in our family shelter, where we have 13 rooms available for families and 2 case managers here to support the needs of families with a focus on permanent housing with a goal to exit homelessness.
Each year, we serve almost 3,000 people through our 17 different programs that are scattered across 12 locations that include 42 units of scattered site permanent supportive housing. Our street outreach team serves adults, youth, and veterans in Jackson and Wyandotte County. Our SSVF team serves veteran families in Jackson and Wyandotte counties. Thank you for joining us today on our virtual tour of Restart's main location. Please follow us on social media and sign up for our newsletter on our website at www.restartinc.org.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the tour. Things have changed a little bit over the last 40 years. So first of all, thank you so much for having me here today. And thank you so much for your commitment over the last 40 years to the mission of Restart. Without people like you guys to come alongside us and do this work, it wouldn't be possible. So thank you. And I really enjoyed learning a lot more about the history of Restart today. I did not know we had so many historians in this building. And I want to say how impressive it is that they still have their T-shirts. I wish I would have known, because I would have then wore a new Restart T-shirt or brought you some new ones. So thank you so much. Many things have changed over the last 40 years, as you've seen. We still get donuts donated. They come in boxes now, not trash bags. And they don't have cockroaches anymore. So life has improved a little bit there. They still do come all smashed together, and you have to tear them apart. And then we repackage them and do them individually. But it was funny listening to that story. So I'm glad to see that those things have also improved. So yeah, you guys have touched on so many different things this morning. Already it's hard to believe that this organization's been here for 40 years. As we started out 40 years ago, it was in the basement of the church and served, single men who were experiencing homelessness in an overnight shelter capacity. And unfortunately, over the years, things have changed. The face of homelessness has changed. Wayne mentioned that and said, as the longer the time went on, they started to see that younger people came in. You heard about eventually the youth emergency shelter came online. So I'm proud to say that Restart's been an organization that has adapted to those changing needs throughout the community over the last 40 years. And because of that, we now serve 17 different programs across 12 different locations. We've grown quite large. So we do have a really nice kitchen now, as you saw on there, and Steve prepares some amazing meals, as you see there as well, thanks to a lot of the different donations that we get from folks. The number one reason that people do experience homelessness, not just in Kansas City, but across this country, really does come down to the lack of affordable housing. You probably hear this a lot, but it really is true. That in a combination with a low-income household puts persons really at risk for doing that work. So, we really approach this work across the entire continuum so starting with prevention, right? So we're doing tons of emergency rental assistance right now for the city of Kansas City as well as for the state of Missouri. The needs are huge there. As a community, we can't even keep up with the number of applications that are coming in and getting money out the door. That's just how many people there are out there, just thousands and thousands of people that are on the edge. And And so it's important that we work to prevent as many of those folks from falling into this system as possible, because it is very challenging to get folks exited out. It's very expensive to do this work in an emergency kind of capacity, similar to healthcare, right? Going to your primary care doctor versus going to the ER. It's like 3-4 times the cost. The same is true here. So we really believe in the power of helping to prevent and preserve people from falling into the system as much as possible, and really helping to provide housing stability for what that looks like. And then, of course, there is the need for emergency shelter, which we have our youth emergency shelter, a family shelter, and an adult shelter. So you kind of had a little tour of a little bit of that area there. So there's a lot that goes on in that main building that we're at 9th and Harrison now. There's 6 floors in that building. We have around 200 people every day and night in that building. And then we're supporting a couple hundred other people scattered across the community each day. So 400 to 500 people each day is sort of the amount of people that we're touching. We have just over 80 employees doing this work and over 1,200 volunteers. So volunteers are really important to us. So then from emergency shelter, we also have a street outreach team. So we have 3 folks that do that work. And so they're going out and they're working with folks that are living in encampments, that are living in their cars, that are living in abandoned buildings, and working with them to try to build a relationship and trust with them, trying to get them to come into shelter or programming. And even if folks are resistant to that for whatever reason, and there are a lot of different reasons why that is, they still provide case management services to those persons, and so they're still working with them on a housing plan. So our goal with everybody we touch is an exit from homelessness and back into housing. And so even from the street, they do that work with folks, and they're helping them get those important documents like their ID and their birth certificate, applying for housing, doing housing applications, maybe applying for jobs or getting benefits on board. A lot of folks, benefits have been turned off because they didn't have an address to receive documents to renew things like their Medicaid or Medicare or their Social Security or their Social Security disability. So it's important that we are able to help, get those on track for folks. So, and then of course, the emergency shelter and then our transitional living program. So we have our youth ones, but we also have 21 units of transitional living for persons living with HIV and AIDS. So that's an important program to us as well. And then, of course, our permanent housing programs then, that are scattered across the community, of course, are very important because our goal is to try to make sure that everyone is exited to stable housing. So the wraparound support services to all that is key. So you met Julie, she's our employment specialist. Every program has case management attached to it. So it's really important that they have someone that's kind of walking alongside them and helping them take step A, B, C, D to accomplishing their goals and plans. We also have therapists and substance use providers and a prevention specialist on site. So they're really providing sort of a very holistic wraparound support service to folks for whatever is kind of going on to help them be able to get into there. So the pandemic, right? It has been wild the last couple of years for us. We couldn't go home. We had to serve all the people that we had. So it's been very interesting for us. Lots of changes there, thank goodness. We have not had any large outbreaks, or we've had very minimal cases for the amount of people that we serve every day over the last year and a half, which we are so thankful for. But we have seen the impact of that continuing to happen. As I mentioned, if the people applying for the rental assistance, it's also people calling for shelter. The calls are far more than we can meet the need for, particularly for our family shelter. So we made that video last year. We had 13 family rooms. We expanded to 16 earlier this year. but we need a lot more. We used to get about 20 calls a month pre-pandemic for family shelter, and now we get 80+ calls every single month from families looking for shelter. Many of them are staying in their car with children, so that's really hard. So we want to try to really figure out how to best meet that need and help get them back into housing as quickly as possible. We've done a COVID hotel, quarantine hotel, and now a positive hotel throughout the pandemic for persons experiencing homelessness who, in the beginning of the pandemic, that were being tested, waiting for results. Where do you quarantine if you don't have a home, right? This was the question of many people when the pandemic first started. And now, as the first wave, we didn't really see a huge impact across our population, but when the Delta variant hit, it changed things. For whatever reason, we have seen it affect our population of persons, especially street homeless, in a much greater way. So we've been working with the city to provide hotel and food and support to persons that have tested positive and putting them in hotel rooms so they have a place that they can really recover well. But so there's a lot going on. So we appreciate you guys. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your continued support. Your prayers are always needed. That was a whole lot of need that I just put out there. So prayers for strength and healing for the people that we're serving, is much appreciated. We have seen, unfortunately, over the years, federal funding for emergency shelter went away years ago, and so it's really been up to local communities to support that effort. I would ask that you guys also maybe pray for some united political will around these issues. We're very fragmented and scattered, and it's not helping our people, and it's really hard to see that every day when those people are at our door. I'm going to start sending them down the street, I think, soon. But we hope that and pray that things will begin to come together there, and that people can come together around some of these really tough issues and around some of the system work that needs to be done in our community. But in the meantime, you guys are the glue that helps us hold all this together. So I just want to say thank you again. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer now or stick around. So thank you guys.
You can stay up here for a second, Stephanie. We wanted to celebrate with you the 40th anniversary and all that's about. We have a rummage sale every year in which we bring all of our junk together, and this year we had 2 years worth of junk because of the pandemic. And for the 40th anniversary, I saw a set of measuring cups that we sold for 40 cents, but that seemed kind of embarrassing. But we did have a nice dining room table and 4 chairs, and it sold for $40, but the mission team had bigger ideas. So Jill and Lana, if you want to come up. There's 40 cents, there's $40, there's $400, but that didn't seem quite right either. And so we have this check for you today to take back for $1,040 out of the money raised through the rummage sale. Don't try to take that to the bank. I think we have a real check somewhere. But people who are here today have signed that, and I know that many of you who are out watching in YouTube today that are just really appreciating what's been shared today, that your names are here as well in spirit, because we want to continue that relationship. So thank you so much for the work that you are doing and continue to do. You're welcome. All right, so I invite us to get ready for our closing hymn. Sometimes when you hear something that's going on, something that needs to be addressed, God just doesn't call for it to be on our hearts or in our hopes and our minds. Sometimes God just asks us to stand up. So I invite you to stand in body or in spirit as we sing our closing hymn.
Stand together for what you believe. Work for what must be done. Love each other in all that you do, till all my people are one. Spread the peace, my people. Spread it everywhere. Make the world know right from wrong. Show the world how to care. Stand together for what you believe. Work for what must be done. Love each other in all that you do, till all my people are one. Open your hearts, my family. Lend a willing hand. Show the lonely and the poor that God is in our land. Stand together for what you believe. Work for what must be done. Love each other in all that you do, till all my people are one. Know that God is with us in everything we do. Each step of the journey, love will see us through. Stand together for what you believe. Work for what must be done. Love each other in all that you do, till all my people are one.
Well, next Sunday at this time, Catherine and I will be walking for the second day down in the Grand Canyon to raise money for the crop walk, which goes to defeat world hunger through Church World Service. But most of the money that is raised stays right here in the Kansas City area, supporting organizations like Restart. So if you would like to support the crop walk this year, all you got to do is write a check out to Southwood UCC and put crop in the memo, but also through your newsletter express, there were links to places online where you can give to the Southwood page or Catherine's page, but all of the money ends up in the same place. The idea this year is to raise over $7,000 to fight world hunger. So let us continue to stand up in the ways that we give and in the ways that we live. Go in peace.